Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Reacts. And today we have a very interesting one where an artist rediscovers the mysterious recipe for the ancient Maya blue dye, which is a
Yeah.
very vibrant blue dye that has been known to survive long periods of time, considering that a lot of cases it is still super vibrant on a lot of Mayan artifacts and temples and paintings and such.
Yes, it's a pigment used by a lot of pre-Columbian pottery and murals and monuments. Uh and it was a very spiritually significant pigment as the color was used exclusively in regards to depictions of deities or those to be sacrificed to deities. And so it was a symbol of essentially holiness in the Mayan tradition. Uh, they It has been featured in murals such as those in the very famous temple Chichen Itza, and so it is. It's a very important color, and uh, after it was exported to Spain in the mid 19th century, the knowledge of how it was made more or less ceased to exist. And it took 150 years for it to be rediscovered.
Yeah, and it was rediscovered by an artist named Luis May Cu, who is a Mexican artist, I believe of Mayan descent, who had been searching for ways to recreate the pigment that his
Yeah.
ancestors used. And one of the things he did was walked around and searched for different plants that could give blue pigments. And one of the ones that popped up
Well,
and that
well, it, it wasn't specifically plants that could give blue pigments. What had happened is between the pigment being lost to time and our artist friend Mr. Ku, um, archaeologists and scientists had deduced what chemical components were in the blue dye, but couldn't figure out how to put them together. And the key ingredient was a plant that archaeologists and such couldn't really find, called uh, indigo suffruticosa. And you apparently need a very specific version of the plant. And that is what Ku managed to find by searching for it.
And the ironic thing, or the kind of crazy thing, is it was right under his nose the whole time. He worked in a school and he noticed
Yep.
kids playing soccer in the yard of the school where he saw a very strange looking plant and asked the groundskeeper to look after the plant. And the groundskeeper did because his family had used it as a medicinal herb to help alleviate stomach pains. So he gladly helped protect the plant, and they ended up working and figuring out that that was the missing link. That was the version of the plant that would produce this very vibrant blue pigment
Mm-hmm.
only when treated a specific way.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It requires a very specific set of treatments in order to produce the blue pigment. Otherwise, it just effectively bleaches everything.
And that's what a lot of people still use the plant for and would actively use the plant for because for whatever reason that knowledge had been passed down and had not been lost. So what they would do is when you would use the plant in water for a short period of time, it would actually work as a whitening agent. It was used to clean traditional white clothing. However, when left too long, it would start adding a blue hue. And it was once the water became this blue hue that Mr. Ku realized, hey, this might actually be something before he went on to further process the pigments.
Yeah. And his his Mayan blue has been officially confirmed by two separate uh, institutes: the Institute of Science and Cultural Heritage in Florence, and the Autonomous University of the Puebla in Mexico. both of which have taken samples of his dye and compared it with samples from historic Mayan artifacts and have confirmed that the chemical composition, the chemical reaction, everything that's occurring to make this dye is in fact the same. It's the same hue with the same chemical signature. So he really did do it,
Yeah, like
and he did it. He did it all by himself too. This is one man just in a village of 6,000 people just going, yeah, I'm gonna make the ancient paint again, and he
well,
did it.
and the other thing that made this all the more impressive was he was promised funding from the University of Mexico that never came. So he basically did this on his own, and in a rare twist of events, his primary financial backer was the British Museum. So, I got to give credit where credit's due. They did one good thing in
Yep. Uh, yeah. I will say, the lack of funding and things has had some consequences too, as Mr. Koo has decided that the knowledge of how he recreated the die um, shall remain a family secret. Um, you know, so the exact knowledge of the process he used, his experimentation, all that lab work, all that notes that we usually produce, when undertaking these types of investigations, he's keeping all that for himself, as is technically his right. Which is why I choose to believe that he simply has a time machine in his basements. A little bit of humor there, but seems Justin doesn't agree at all.
No, I agree. I think it's a very interesting scenario. And I honestly don't know what I would do in his position because traditionally speaking, and he does make a note of this, that traditional Maya blue was a very rare pigment and was traditionally saved for for use by elites only, and usually in spiritual purposes for the gods and ceremonies.
Yeah,
So for him to kind of restrain that knowledge kind of sucks in a way that this rare pigment, this very vibrant blue, is limited, but at the same time, if nobody's going to help you fund it and you figured it out, you
yeah,
got to give the man props.
it's within his rights to decide what to do with all those notes on how he figured this out.
Scientists know what's in it, but they don't know how to make it, and it's a very specific process
Yeah,
to make it.
yeah, and we have more knowledge of how to make it now just by virtue of the fact of what leaks out, but like his exact process, his scientific method, whatever that was, we won't have that, which is, I think, more of a shame, really, than even just not knowing how to make the pigment ourselves. Simply because, whatever he did, he got it right. So it'd be nice to see how he did it so that we could maybe apply this to other things that have been lost. Because Mayan blue is not the only coloration that has been lost to time. Um, I think Tyrian purple is also dead, but that's more for ecological reasons than colonialism.
You just had to bring Tyrion purple into
What? He's a Lannister. They're great.
Uh, on that fantastical note, I think that's a good point to wrap up. We like seeing traditional knowledge resurface in the world, even if it's one man who figured it out, because that is one less thing that is lost to time. And honestly, I think I don't speak for any of the Mayan people, but I guarantee there's people that are happy that this knowledge has not been lost forever and someone managed to revive it. I think that's a more positive note than we traditionally see in our field. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed watching today's video, please leave a like down below. If there's a topic you would like to see, drop a comment down below. And please be sure to check out our web store linked in the description down below, the Humanitarian Collections. And check out our merchandise there, which helps support the Trevor Project. So help us support a great cause and check out the link in the description. Thank you guys for watching.